What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I want to rank the discography of Devildriver. And this is a band that I've been following since the very beginning. They're a little bit different, and they're not, I wouldn't call them one of my favorite bands, but I've got kind of a special place in my heart for them since I've sort of been around them for so long. But before I do that, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and stick around after the video because there's plenty more content for you to enjoy. But if I'm just going to dive right into it here, we have to start from the very beginning with 2003's self-titled Devildriver via Roadrunner Records. And I remember the day I got this album. I was super stoked in the time leading up to it because I'd been a big Coal Chamber fan, which a little embarrassing now because they're definitely not one of the better bands. But again, another one that I kind of have close to my heart because they were one of the first like metal bands I sort of listened to. Um, but yeah, I'd been following them for a long time. I was disappointed when they broke up. And then when I found out that Dez was going to do this new project, I was excited. And then they had a website up for it. And you could listen to on repeat I Could Care Less and Die and Die Now. And those are both just amazingly heavy tracks and got me even more excited. I remember sitting in class and just like playing those two tracks over and over and over again, getting more and more excited about this album finally coming. So it finally dropped, and I had to like get enough cash together to go out and buy it. And I went out to Best Buy and they had just closed. And I was even like begging the guy to let me in. I'm like, I know what I want. I know the album I need. Can I just go in there and like grab it and pay you for it? And they said no. So I think I had to come back the next day to finally go get it. But still on my shelf, still big fan of it. It's a great album. Like, honestly, I almost want to put it S tier, but ultimately the first half's definitely stronger than the second. But yeah, you've got I Could Care Less, Die and Die Now, Nothing's Wrong, Dreamed I Died, Cry for Me Sky. Like, there's a lot of amazing tracks on here. It's definitely still got the most sort of new metal resonance left over from the Coal Chamber days. It's a little bit more kind of streamlined, not as much technicality as kind of shows up. In the later albums. So for those reasons, I didn't quite put it at S, but it's still one of my favorites. Like, it's definitely in my top three. So moving along, though, we've got 2005's The Fury of Our Maker's Hand, and this is S tier, if you ask me. Like, this is probably their best album. It's got a great combination of everything I liked about the first album, but then really stepping up the musicianship. Like, I noticed on this one that the riffage is just much stronger. There's just a lot more going on. It feels less kind of just like kind of dumpy new metal-y. There's more kind of thrash element. There's more groove metal element. And at this point, they're kind of almost going toe-to-toe with Lamb of God. And it's just a great album. And End of the Line is an amazing album opener, probably one of my favorite album openers of all time. It never fails to get me hyped, and I just blast this one in the car and scream along with it every single time it comes on. It's so good. You've also got Grin Fucked, which has a great music video. Also Hold Back the Day, Ripped Apart, the title track. All around, really fantastic album that holds up really strongly to this day. Then you got 2007 with The Last Kind Words, and these right here kind of are like my top three. So this one's also A. I feel like it dropped in quality a bit from The Fury of Our Maker's Hand, but still a really strong album, just not quite as consistent. You've got Not All Who Wander Are Lost, Clouds Over California, which was a very catchy track I listened to a lot. I think that was also on Rock Band, if I'm not mistaken, so I'd played on there frequently. Horn of Betrayal. So solid stuff. I think their first three albums still are their best and probably hold up the most. But yeah, good times, lots of great memories associated, particularly with these three, because it's still kind of like, early, mid 2000s, and just very different. It almost feels like a different lifetime than where I'm at right now. But moving on to 2009's Pray for Villains, this is when I really started to lose interest in the band. And if you ask me, I just do not like this album. I've come back to it so many times, hoping that maybe it'll grow on me, but it just never did. It really let me down. The only track I really like on it is Resurrection Boulevard, which has a great like sweeping guitar riff and some pretty anthemic vocals. And so I love that single, but everything else I'm just kind of like not doing it for me. And that continues to be an issue. I think it's one of their worst albums. For a long time, it was their worst album, but we'll get to that. Believe you me, we'll get to that. But I'm going to keep moving along briskly here to 2011's Beast, which was a bit better than Pray for Villains, but still just it's kind of a bloated album. There are some solid tracks on here, but then for every solid track, there's kind of a just like sort of mediocre nothing for me track. I do like Dead to Rights and Black Soul Choir in particular, but ultimately it's just kind of an okay album, but a little bit better. It's a C. That feels fair to me. And then 2013, we've got Winter Kills, and they started to kind of regain my trust a little bit with this one. It's still not an amazing album, but it's pretty darn solid. You got Desperate Times, which is probably one of their best songs that they've ever written. One of my favorites to listen to. I put it right there in the playlist with tracks from these first three albums. I like the cover art. You've also got Gutted, The Appetite, and I even like the sail cover at the end, which is an oddball one, but it's enjoyable. So I would put this one at B tier. And it's got some consistency issues that keep it out of the higher ranks, but still one of their better albums. All right, and then moving on to 2016, we've got an album that surprised me, which was Trust No One. I had pretty low hopes going into this album because, again, I was kind of in the mentality at this point that they would never kind of match their previous quality. And I saw this album art, and I hate this album art. I think it's just awful. It's aesthetically unpleasant. It's also just such a trope, like the whole wolf in sheep's clothing thing. Like, I think it's like the worst depiction I've ever seen of that. And it's been done to death. And it just looks like a really bad Photoshop job. Everything about this cover I cannot stand. And so I would stare at this thing, and then matched with kind of my disappointments in Pray for Villains and Beast, I was just kind of like, whatever. But the album came out, and I gotta say, I would probably put it in my top 4. I even considered giving this A tier, actually. I'm going to put it at B because it doesn't quite have the legacy for me as these other ones. But it may even be a little bit more consistent than The Last Kind Words. Like, I've really been thinking about it, and I've kind of just toyed with that idea. But for now, I'm gonna leave it at B, saying that it's definitely better than Winter Kills too. It's pretty darn consistent, very solid. You got Bad Deeds, Above It All, Daybreak, Trust No One, the title track. Oh, and I forgot again. I keep forgetting. I've been meaning to kind of pull these out as I go along because I do want to make a point that I stopped buying albums after this one. I did come back around and grab a used copy of Winter Kills, but this was where I ultimately actually bought new Trust No One because it really did it for me. I was shocked, and I'm like, hey, Devildriver's like back on it. It wasn't like one of my favorite albums of the year or anything, but it's a really good listen. And just looking at it now, it's been a little while since I listened to it again, but I wanna get back into it because there's a lot of good stuff there. Now, unfortunately, I wish I could end on that high note, and I feel like most of my tier lists have. But in this case, unfortunately, we have to end. I teased you earlier with Pray for Villains is not their worst album. Outlaws Till the End is their worst album. This album, if you ask me, is completely unlistenable. I was kind of intrigued by it because it's like, okay, metal band doing a bunch of country covers. I could see that. It executed properly, that could be entertaining. So I crossed my fingers, and the promo dropped in my mailbox, and I gave it a go, and no. just no. I'm sorry. Like, Dez, I love your vocals. I love your band. I even love going back to your Coal Chamber days. I even went back and I listened to that new Coal Chamber album that dropped a couple of years ago and was decently entertained by that. But I just could not get down with this. And it's just like, it's honestly painful. If I had an F tier on here, I would put it at F tier. But yeah, that's clearly their worst album. I would definitely rather listen to anything else besides that. But don't let that detract from my sort of fandom of this band. I caught them live at the First Sounds of the Underground tour, and that was really cool because they had an amazing lineup there. It was like Lamb of God, Poison the Well, Guar was there, Opeth, um, yeah, it just like every band was there, I swear. Norma Jean was there, I think. So yeah, that was really cool, and I just think Dez has this really unique vocal quality. He's like instantly recognizable. He has this really deep kind of phlegmy delivery, and I like their guitar work. They're very catchy generally, and when they're on their game, like with these top ones, then they're quite good. But they've also, as opposed to, I guess I've done some other bands release recently that had some dips in their quality too, like the Darkest Hour one especially comes to mind. But yeah, just not the most consistent discography. But when they're good, they're great. So if you're not familiar with these guys, definitely check them out. I highly recommend it, especially these higher tier albums. And as always, I'm really interested to hear down in the comments, what are your memories with these guys? What are your thoughts on my rankings? If you want to make your own, I always put the link to this actual tier list so that you can make your own, and you can post that on our social media. You can find links to all of our social media down in the description. And as always, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Stick around afterwards, plenty other videos to come. And if you're getting added value, then please donate to our Patreon or Subscribe Star. Just $1 a month makes a huge difference. But I think that'll do it for this video. Flight of Icarus, signing off. I will see you in the trenches.